You guys have done it again. You guys have once again lost your minds, lost your couth. In the United States of America, we have a literacy issue. The pandemic caused 28% of kindergartners to be at great risk for not learning to read. And in 2021, that number increased to 47%. So needless to say, literacy is not something to play with. Some of you people have lost your mind and decided to unschool your children, not homeschool them. Homeschooling and unschooling are not the same thing. Homeschooling is way more structured. There's a curriculum, there's lessons plans. It's more like formal school, just not at school. Unschooling is a more laid back, creative approach to school, less formal, and focuses on having the child lead their lessons. They're not forced to learn a bunch of stuff that they don't want to learn and they don't care about. If a child expresses an interest in something, that's what they will learn about. For obvious reasons, this can be a serious problem, which is why the internet is in an uproar about it. If you ask me, this actually makes perfect sense. At one point, your child is going to be like, "Hey mom, tell me everything you know about calculus."
Shut up! That is so stupid!
And I'm not even going to act like they're fully wrong for not wanting their kid in traditional school. I mean, there's bullying, there's shooting. Sometimes the curriculum is not where it needs to be, but that doesn't make this method of school the answer. This is probably the most popular unschooler online right now.
So we don't teach our children anything. Everything that they learn is in response to either their interests or their question. We have no curriculum, we have no school hours.
Yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math. My son's 6 and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp, egg, jar, lion. This is him doing this by himself, copying down words from other places, asking us more. Same with addition. Mom, what's 7 plus 5?
Okay, first of all, I want to say congrats to that child for even getting that far without any help. But secondly, no offense to the child, but they should absolutely be beyond that at 6 years old. This is evidence that whatever method she's using for unschooling have done her child a disservice.
So it's true. My son cannot read at age 6. But here's the thing about my kid. He's free.
I beg your pardon?
He's always been free. And every single day of his life is a blank canvas that he can make whatever art he wants with. This is what his day is made up of. There's no conformity.
First of all, reading and writing is freedom. That's exactly why my ancestors were threatened and murdered for even attempting to read and write. Because they knew that's the first step to getting free, right? And I see where she's coming from with like public school, like, oh, what they're teaching is blah, blah, blah. What is hard for me to understand is why there's an aversion to homeschooling. Why is there no curriculum? She could easily instill a curriculum that fosters creativity and a bunch of freedom in other areas, but she's choosing not to. And it's honestly disrespectful to your kid. I know you want to be like a rebel, and you want your kid to be like a rebel. You can't even get to that stage of rebellion if you can't read and write. So of course she responds to this.
Some people were concerned about how I'm choosing to educate my kids, and I understand what that feels like because I'm also concerned about what the education system is doing for other kids. So the number one priority for us is to find what our kids love and help to foster that, and to show them by example as early as possible that you can make a career out of whatever it is that you love. And if a robot does it, you don't necessarily have to learn it.
That doesn't make no sense.
And for us, that's where our journey of freedom as parents begins.
You don't want to face the fact that you're just lazy. Just admit it to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm lazy and I'm neglecting my kids' education. And then once you accept that, you can move on to the next step, which is sending your kids to school. School is actually really great for learning so many things that you do need, like the basics of math, reading, writing, social skills, how to take directions and follow them, how to meet deadlines. And if you're not sending them to school, it's imperative that you do actual homeschooling. And of course, she's not the only parent doing this. There's multiple.
Share some things with you guys that I'm going to be doing to make sure that I don't fuck up his education or fuck up his future. Lots of time outside. I'm going to take him grocery shopping. We're going to start a garden, doing lots of gardening, lots of hands-on stuff to teach him these things, not just reading out of a fucking book, which is what's wrong with public school. I'm going to teach him how to set boundaries with people. I'm going to teach him how to create friendships and connections with people. I'm going to teach him how to bake and cook. People will say unschooling is giving your child autonomy over what they want to learn. And yes, that is true approaching it. I'm not going to give my child full autonomy over dictating his entire education. I'll do this. I will lead you on this. Even though I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I know that I'm gonna figure it out. And I trust my instincts and what I feel is best for my child over anything else that the government or society has to say about it.
She just mentioned taking them to the grocery store. Like that's something special to learn. So running errands with your parents like every other kid does. Every other kid does that, and they also go to school. Or they get homeschooled. And let them get some curriculum. Let them get some social skills. Let them have recess with friends. She then goes on to say this, so...
Girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
I guess she thinks she's funny. This just pissed me smooth clean off. Because why are you lying? Your kid did not say that. I don't have any kids, but if I did, I feel like on their first day of kindergarten, I would ask them, what do you want to learn in kindergarten? And they would say, you know what, Mom? I want to learn how to make new forms of renewable energy to help save our planet. And for some reason, she has him dressed as a pauper. And he doesn't even have shoes on. It's like she's torturing the guy. She has more posts, of course. Unschooling only makes sense if you're an adult who is actively pursuing your own education, seeing it as a lifelong daily mission, etc., etc., BS. There's tons of adults who are pursuing an education who would strongly disagree. Actually, pursuing an education might make unschooling make less sense. And then she did attempt to clear the air a little bit. Basically saying unschooling, it doesn't mean you're not learning. It just means that you are learning more than what they teach you in traditional school. So learning, that's just learning. Learning is still learning if you're learning more than what they teach you in school, right? So it's just extra learning. People who go to school, traditional school, they also have the opportunity to learn things outside of the classroom. That's just a part of life. That doesn't mean everyone's doing it, but that doesn't mean that going to traditional school automatically means that you don't have that opportunity. And I don't think their intentions are actually bad. I don't think they're trying to be bad parents. And I'm not even going to say that they are bad parents, but I don't think they're trying to mess their children up on purpose. But the results can be dangerous. I mean, these are some words from people who were unschooled.
I was unschooled. I didn't want to learn to read, and I didn't want to learn to do math because that was boring. So by the time I hit middle school, all the other kids were making fun of me for not knowing how to read. My mom signed me up for a junior high literature class in my homeschool group, and I didn't know how to do anything. To prepare for the class, I had to teach myself how to read because my mom wouldn't. For high school, I decided to go to public school because I was not getting the education I deserved. And guess what? I immediately started failing. I didn't have the years of prior education building me up to prepare me for the level of work I had. I was kicked out before I got to graduate.
I cannot tell you how difficult life was to adjust to once I did join society. And when I finally decided I wanted to go to college, I had to get a GED, which at the time automatically disqualified me for a lot of scholarships. I had a really hard time with the general education classes and had to get tutors for almost every single class except for reading and comprehension, thank God. And it was probably just because I spent so much time on my own reading as a kid. Oh, it was horrible. It was awful. It was so traumatic realizing I knew nothing.
And if people who were unschooled as children are speaking out now as adults, talking about how it held them back and all the negative effects it had on them, that's enough for me to just not ever do that. Why put your kid in a position where they have to grow up and struggle? And then there are some parents who used to unschool and now are realizing that they don't want to do that anymore. They realize it was a mistake. They learned their lesson. We cannot afford to have our children not reading. I mean, quite literally, we can't afford it. Guess what? Your child doesn't deserve it. Don't put them in a position where they're 13 years old reading at a second grade level. If you find a way to make it work, good for you. If you find a way to make your kids like actually succeed and strive and thrive, good for you. But ultimately, it seems like a bad idea, and it seems like lazy parenting, and it seems like neglect, educational neglect. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, still give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment so we can chat in the comments, you know. And subscribe.